everyone, and thank you so much for your time. Today, I am here to discuss the importance of labeling GMO food and food products. GMOs are genetically modified organisms that are added to our foods in order to give them unnatural properties such as being drought resistant, herbicide tolerant, or insect resistant. About 30,000 genetically modified food products containing a combination of plant, animal, bacterial, and viral genes are sitting on your grocery store shelves waiting to be consumed. Three main reasons why GMO crops and foods containing GMOs should be labeled are because the harmful side effects of GMOs are largely unknown, consumers have a right to know the ingredients in their food, and GMOs negatively impact the environment. First and foremost, when consuming genetically modified foods and food containing genetically modified ingredients, you are putting your health at risk. According to the Institute for Responsible Technology, numerous health problems increased after GMOs were introduced in 1996. The percentage of Americans with 3 or more chronic illnesses jumped from 7% to 13% in just 9 years. Food allergies skyrocketed, and disorders such as autism, reproductive disorders, digestive problems, and others are on the rise. According to the Non-GMO Project, more than 60 countries around the world have completely banned GMOs or have severe restrictions on them because their harmful side effects are largely unknown. Researchers at Caen University in France conducted an experiment where they fed rats a diet composed of strictly GMO corn. The rats developed multiple breast tumors, organ failure, and kidney damage. There are several types of potential health effects that could result from the insertion of a novel gene into an organism. Just to name a few, production of new allergens, increased toxicity, decreased nutrition, and antibiotic resistance can all be caused by GMO consumption. And in this slide, there's the picture of the rats that were experimented on, and most of the tumors took place in their mammary glands, which would equate to the same as women having breast cancer. GMO labeling should be required because consumers have a right to know the ingredients in their food. Studies show that 90% of Americans support mandatory labeling of genetically modified foods. There is absolutely no reason why the American government should refuse the public the right to know whether or not their foods are grown with GMOs. Denying the public the right to know what's in their food denies people the ability to control their own health, and that's unjust on multiple levels. By labeling GMO foods, people will have the option of knowing exactly what's in the food they are purchasing. GMO labeling will also contribute to the awareness needed for people to make healthier choices. Lastly, GMOs negatively impact the environment. Most GMO crops are engineered to be herbicide tolerant. For example, Monsanto, which is one of the largest chemical companies in the world, sells Roundup Ready crops, which are designed to survive the application of their Roundup herbicide. Between 1996 and 2008, U.S. farmers sprayed an extra 383 million pounds of herbicide on GMOs. Overuse of Roundup results in super weeds and super bugs resistant to the herbicide. This is causing farmers to use even more toxic herbicides every year. Not only does this create environmental harm, GMO foods contain higher residues of toxic herbicides. Roundup, for example, is linked with sterility, hormone disruption, birth defects, and cancer. If we can enforce mandatory GMO labeling, there will be an overall improvement of individual and planetary health. If we continue to allow our food supply to be controlled by the world's largest chemical companies, our environment will continue to be poisoned. In conclusion, genetically modified organisms should require labeling because at the end of the day, we can't rely on the government to ensure our health. A Surgeon General warning against smoking cigarettes wasn't even released until 1964, even though people suspected it caused cancer as early as 1920. We can't allow the same thing to happen with GMOs. The fact that their harmful side effects are largely unknown and health issues have continued to rise since their introduction should be enough of a warning sign. When it comes to the food that we are consuming and feeding to our families, we have a right to know all of the ingredients as well as whether or not what we are eating has been genetically modified. We cannot continue to poison our environment, our pollinating insects, our soil, and our water supplies and actually expect there to be no long-term damaging effects. In order to demand the labeling of GMO foods and foods containing GMOs, please purchase food products that are labeled as non-GMO via the Non-GMO Project. Do your best to avoid conventional processed food, as 80% of it contains GMOs. Educate yourself on GMO risk crops and support organic farming by purchasing organic non-GMO foods. Lastly, by accessing the link provided, you can sign 3 different petitions telling the FDA, Congress, and big food companies such as Kellogg, Pepsi, Nestle, and ConAgra that we have a right to know about the food we eat. Thank you so much for your time. And unfortunately, my only audience is the cameraman. That was the only person I could round up.